All right, just got some crazy news. Probably our best chance of doing any offer with this clean tech company. Biting my nails. Super surprising and extremely frustrating. Boy, was I glad that I chatted with her. There's just so much going on. Good morning and welcome back to yet again another week in the life working as a recruiter at my recruiting agency. This week's a little bit different because I'm actually not working a full day today because today is my birthday! So I've been pretty bad about this the past couple of years where I would just work through my birthday and then plan out a wonderful dinner or get together with friends and family. But today, as I was telling you in previous videos, the longer I do this, the longer I work for myself, I'm always thinking more about self-care, sustainability, and mental health and sanity. It doesn't honestly matter how much money you make in the short term. I don't want to be a flash in the pan. I want to be able to be productive and work at peak performance over the long term. I'm actually going to give myself half a day today. I actually surprisingly have about 5 candidate calls, 3 interviews, one of them potentially being a final/offer. So even though I'm going to disconnect in about an hour or two, I still have to be accessible in case any emergency happens. Other than that, we're picking up 3 brand new clients this week, everything from a private jet on demand to potentially a video gaming company, which is super excited, so we'll definitely keep you posted. Coming into this week, we're seeing a lot of really good momentum. Pipelines are looking good. Probably gonna hit program directors, program managers, software engineers, product managers, and product designers this week. But let's just see what this week has in store, what sort of crazy situations that we're gonna go up against, and what sort of obstacles we'd have to overcome, either on the candidate side or the client side, or both. But I appreciate you tuning in. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great Monday. If you wanna wish me a happy birthday, or you're as excited as I am to make this a great month and a great Q4, remember, we only have less than 100 days now from now until New Year's. What goals do you have planned for this week, this month, November, December? Let's crush it, let's stay focused, but would really appreciate it again if you just like, subscribe, click that bell. It would really mean a lot to me and give us the energy to make every single day and week the best that we can and show you what we do every single day. So I have a couple more calls to do. Gonna take it easy later today, and then it's gonna be a full 4-day week and hoping to see what sort of exciting things that we're going to accomplish with you all. So I hope you're ready and let's get started. Initially, you're kind of targeting the 140, 150 plus, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I know that range was fine for them. I know that they would be willing to be more flexible for folks that are moving to New York. I mean, it just has to be reasonable because also keep in mind, you know, they are early stage. They're not like an established company with 100 people. And you're also gonna get, you know, a lot of equity and bonus in the back end. I don't know, like 160, maybe 170, maybe a little bit higher than that. I think that's definitely something that they can do. I mean, if you're like, hey, Preston, I need 250, I don't know if they can do that. A lot of companies, their age and their size wouldn't even be able to go close to 140, 150 anyway. So just the fact that they can, I think, is obviously super helpful. But if you want to stretch a little bit more, yeah, I totally think they can do that. But I don't know if they can hit 2 or go beyond 2, just to be honest.
Hoping to go for 180, if you think that's a reasonable number.
They're able to go as high as like 170 plus bonus and equity. Like, is that okay for you? Or
that would be, that would not be a deal breaker. I was hoping like 180, maybe 175 would be, like, that would be a place where I would be really comfortable.
My recommendation to you is just be honest. Be like, hey, like, you know, I'm in California. I'm more than happy to reload to New York, but then I discover you guys have your extra taxes and all that. And it would just honestly make me feel very comfortable that we can make like 180 happen. I would just ask for 180 straight up. If you can do that, great. If you can't, and then, you know, maybe he's like, what about 175? That's still a great win for you, right? So just got off the phone with probably our best chance of doing any offer with this clean tech company. It's just been a rigmarole, a crazy adventure, just trying to do positions that you're not specialized in. This is the reason why I don't really advise it. If you're in recruiting, if you're looking to work for yourself, start off and be focused. Like, be focused in one market and become a master at it. When I started, I only started in product and UX design. That's all I did. It was very tempting over the years to expand when I started, but that's all I did. That got me to really be confident as a recruiting professional, but also to be able to confidently communicate with the founders and candidates. And then over the years, as I became more comfortable, I started, doing a little bit more digital marketing and software engineering. But I just didn't recklessly add that to my portfolio or my services. Like, I studied a lot behind the scenes. A lot of people in my network and friends are software engineers, digital marketers, and designers. I would just ask them questions constantly, just really being a sponge, because a recruiter is the middleman. You have to come off valid and credible, not only to candidates, but also to hiring managers. And a lot of these hiring managers can be VPs, founders. They're not gonna talk to just random people. You have to really come off sounding like you know what you're talking about. So if you're a recruiter who recruits everything, like, I think that's possible. You can still make a living, you can still do well. But I think from my experience and just seeing others really successful recruiting professionals, the ones that really dig in, like either they just stay in the finance industry or the law industry, they only do digital marketing, and that's all they do and become literally like masters of that and masters of that domain, they tend to do very, very well. It's also more efficient because, like, if you have candidates coming in, you have more options to share with them. Whereas if you're working like 50 different roles across 50 different sectors and types, if you bring in one great candidate, you might only have one job to share with that person and versus like 10. So it just makes sense you're working smarter, not harder. But a little bit off a tangent, she's actually open to relo, and she's within the salary range that the company is looking to hire. So she's in California. She's originally looking for 140, 150. I told her when I spoke to her last week, spend the weekend, do research. Like, what would life look like in New York City? What would the numbers look like? And then through that process, she discovered New York City has its own tax system, logistics, where is she gonna live, the different neighborhoods. So she has a million questions now. But the biggest finding here is that instead of asking for 140, 150, because of the new tax and the higher cost of living, she told me that she would love to like get closer to 170 or even 180. If they can hit that, that would make her feel so much better. So she's actually scheduled to chat with the founder later today. I think 180 is possible. I know from previous candidates, he was able to do 170, maybe go a little bit higher. So I know that 180 is ideal. 175 wouldn't be a deal breaker. That's still a possibility. 170, I think it's still not a deal breaker. She would still consider that strongly because she loves this role. But I'm just hoping that this goes well. And he's like, you know what? Okay, cool. Like, we lost so many people because I changed my mind on this relo. This is a wonderful candidate from California, willing to move all the way coast to coast to Brooklyn and New York City. The least I could do is give her what she asks or close to it. So I think I'm at 70-30 in terms of like, him being okay with that number. Fingers crossed, baby. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So I'm excited. It's gonna happen roughly around 3 o'clock. I shouldn't be working then, but it'd be so nice to do my first deal with these guys. So fingers crossed. When it's your birthday, it just makes you do a lot of reflecting on just who you are as a person, how your year is going, how the past year went, whether you're working for yourself or your job, how that whole experience has gone. I just wanted to come here and just share some thoughts. It's very easy to watch my videos and be like, oh wow, like I can work for myself as a recruiter. I can make 6 figures in a week. I can make 6 figures in a month. Like, life's amazing. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. But I just wanna make it very, very clear is that this has been just an absolutely crazy adventure. What you're seeing now is the result of just me working my butt off for the past 6 years. And I think when you're working for yourself, it's a blessing. Anyone can go and get a job and work for someone else. But when you have the opportunity to work for yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to run a big business. Any business, freelancing a contract, it's a blessing. And you have to be grateful for it. And you can't take anything for granted. And so that's why when anyone's starting anything for themselves, you initially have to work your butt off. I think when you're starting a venture or business, there's really no work-life balance in the beginning. Like, you have to put everything that you can to get this off the ground, and you have to be willing to make sacrifices. And that's why I wished I was able to make these videos earlier, from when I first started, so you guys could really see the struggles I went through. There were many days, there were many weeks where I was depressed. I went through everything from anxiety to insane amount of stress to even depression. I burned out so many times. Recruiting can be fulfilling. It could be fun. It could be rewarding, but it could also be very stressful. But this is not just recruiting, it's for really any businesses. I wished I was able to show you what it was like before, because when I started this business, I didn't take it with a grain of salt. I didn't start part-time. I worked 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours minimum a day to get this thing off and running. There were a few clients that decided to kind of work with me in the beginning, which I was super lucky with, but everything from cold calling new businesses, reaching out to candidates, I worked my butt off. And there are actually several months where I made nothing, and that was super stressful. Recruiting is similar like real estate, where we don't get paid a salary. We live off of commissions, off of placements. So even though doing a placement is great, it's never gonna guarantee future business. So that's why it's super important to always keep your pipeline of new businesses and new leads coming in, because once you do a big deal, that's great. But if you don't do any other deals the rest of the year, that's not so great. So for one person just to really focus end to end running everything as a solo recruiter, it's just been insane. There were many times where I didn't eat lunch, I didn't eat dinner. There were many times where I worked through my holidays, I even worked through my birthday. But then if you watch me recently, if you watch this video now, you slowly start to see me making an effort that's all about sustainability. It's not so much about how much money you can make quickly, it's about how much money you can make long-term while developing really strong relationships and doing recruiting well. It's so easy to do recruiting not well. Recruiters don't even spend the time to get to know candidates. They don't even make the effort to meet candidates or hiring managers in person. They just waste clients' time by throwing irrelevant candidates at them over and over and over again. And that was really my inspiration of creating this channel, is to show authentically like what I do every week and every month. I'm not perfect. I'm always trying to be better and how we can treat candidates better, how we can treat clients better, and just not waste each other's times, and to work in the best way possible to bring as much value to everyone that's at the table. It's amazing, and I'm super thankful just looking through this year of all the amazing successes and wins that we've done. But I want you to know, and I want to make it very clear, this was very much not an overnight story at all. There were many times where I would work late in the evenings not knowing how I would do the next day or that week or the month. But one thing remained constant is if you can just show up and keep being consistent in what you have to do every single day, things will compound, things will snowball, and the business will eventually take care of you. What I'm doing right now is literally no different than what I've done about 6-7 years ago. It's just continually providing value, and that compounds, and then clients and candidates will start to refer you to other clients and candidates. New businesses will come in, and then it looks like things are just happening automatically, and offers are just getting opened and closed automatically. But I'm trying to show you recruiting takes a lot of work, but anything takes a lot of work, whether it's recruiting or video editing, real estate, whether it's e-commerce. Every business takes a lot of work, and you have to be willing to make sacrifices in the beginning. But if you can somehow find the right balance of putting everything in while also remembering that it's not about the money all the time, it's all about the other priorities in life and what you can do early on to try to create that good habits, to make sure you have time for friends and family, to have time for date nights, to have time for meals, or whatever else you need to do, I think you'd be in a much better place than I am. For me, I was just so focused on making as much money as possible and doing as many deals, but then that's fine, but it's not sustainable. And then you start to realize that even though making money is great, if your other priorities are not met in life, it's not fulfilling, or if you're just suffering health-wise, is it really worth it at the end of the day? So yes, being productive is great, having great financial wins is great, but just make sure you can be fulfilled in life holistically. But don't forget, requires a ton of work. So if you're thinking about starting any business or even recruiting part-time, don't expect to make full-time results or income from part-time work. Anything requires a ton of time in the beginning. Put everything that you have, and over time you can scale it up and then slowly start thinking more about work-life balance. But with that said though, I am super grateful for you all. I can't believe I'm turning 1 year older, but every lesson that I learned, I'm hoping to just share this with you. Whether or not you know this already, or it may help you in a small way, whether you're recruiting or not, this is just me just trying my best to push this business forward day in and week out. And I always appreciate you following, you sending some amazing, just kind words and sending positive thoughts and vibes, energies. Really means a lot. Working for yourself can be extremely lonely. So the fact that, we can build something together, I can show you what I do behind the scenes, really means a lot and really makes it feel like that I'm not alone and we're all in this together. So guys, don't forget, work hard, put everything in it, but most importantly, stay consistent. Don't be a flash in the pan, and I promise you, whatever line of work that you are, whether it's recruiting or anything else, just be consistent and be the best that you can, provide best value, and don't waste anyone's time. And you can do that, rinse and repeat, great things will happen. So thank you again for the birthday wishes, really appreciate it. Gonna still do 4 more calls, see where the day takes us. Cheers. Okay, so crazy news. I was just out doing an errand, and then I heard back from the founder of this clean tech client of mine that he had a great conversation with this engineer. And remember I said that she was ideally looking for 180? He told me that he just extended her an offer for 170. Not 180, 170. I still think it's a possibility because the candidate said 175 was okay, 170. I think she's gonna make the decision, but I have to think about it. So there's still a little bit more work for me to do here, but I think it's awesome we got an offer, and we're not talking about a huge number. We're only talking about 5-10K difference here. So if I can have him come up a little bit, have her come down a little bit, I think we can make this happen. I sent the candidate an email to see how she thought about the conversation. Haven't heard back from her yet. So biting my nails, fingers crossed. Keep you updated. Good morning, happy Tuesday. It always takes a little bit of adjustment to get back at it after even just one short day off. But anyway, I feel good. Woke up bright and early and alert, got good workout in, got a lot to catch up on, and make this a really productive day and the rest of the week. So let's get to it. All right, happy Tuesday afternoon. Just wanted to come in here and give you a quick little update. Just been really focused on sourcing to my fullest ability, my butt off on designers and product managers. We had 10 candidate calls today. I had a client call with our favorite innovation company wanting us to expand the ideal profile for the ideal candidate. Before, we would only be targeting folks with a great incubator, accelerator, VC background, but now they want us to expand that a little bit more to target folks coming out of high growth tech companies or even consulting shops, which is amazing because that just increases the target pool of candidates that we can reach out to. We've been hitting program managers for several years now in New York City. Program managers coming out of incubators, accelerators, the market is actually pretty small. So this will allow us to reach out to significantly more people, which I'm very happy with, to re-energize their pipeline. Spoke to a new hiring manager at our client, really cool guy, happy to chat with him. The 2 interviews happening today are HR. One of them happened, the candidate said it went well. One's happening right now, fingers crossed. And I am talking to another new client in about an hour to pick up a designer position. Not really sure if it's a product designer, visual, or graphic designer position, but it's supposed to be with a very cool company. But aside from that, just wanted to give you a quick update. So we're working with our favorite clean tech company. We submitted early on a very great engineer, and they actually really liked her a lot. And she went through every stage of the interviews, positive feedback from the candidate, positive feedback from the client. She lived in Pennsylvania, and then she had to kind of think over the whole reload thing to New York City, which was doable in her mind, but she just had a ton of questions like about reload, logistics, and like more questions about the benefits and the scope of the role. She really wants to do a whole due diligence process, which I totally get it. If you're thinking about changing a new job, it's really important to understand like that company that you're potentially going to join. But with her, like she wants to take it the extra kind of 90 yards, and she wants to sign an NDA and really deep dive and interview a lot of the other members and founders of the team, which is cool. Like we have every right to do that. So that was actually happening all last week, even yesterday. And this morning we heard back actually from our client that the process was taking so long, and because they're so desperate to hire people now, they were actually able to find other candidates with equivalent or better technical backgrounds than our candidate who's willing to go fast to the offer round without going through this whole due diligence process. And because of that, they were actually thinking about rejecting our candidate. As soon as I heard back from this, I pushed back. I'm like, you know what? Our candidate is qualified. She's good. She's interested. She just honestly wants to go through a little bit more due diligence with you guys. So if you can just send her more information that she requested, set up a couple more chats, she can make a decision really really quickly. And I was kind of going back and forth with them. And then I even called my candidate, be like, hey, like, you know, you wanting to go through this whole due diligence thing might actually hurt you, unfortunately, because they're now talking to many other people who don't have to go through that. It came to a point all morning, all afternoon, where the candidate told me that due diligence is really, really important for her. And I totally get it. Like, I would do the same thing if I was looking for a new job. But if it came to a situation where she would have to think about not going through due diligence to getting an actual offer, she wasn't willing to do that because she wasn't comfortable making a decision without having some important questions answered. And so after I relayed that to the client, and after, I guess, talking to a couple more people earlier today, interviewing other people and internal discussions, they ultimately decided to officially reject my candidate, which is super surprising and extremely frustrating and disappointing. But at the same time, I get what they're coming from. Like, they need to hire 20 people now, and they don't have time for someone to be on the fence. But in my candidate's defense, like, she was just doing her due diligence. This is what she does with every single opportunity. And this is not something that you see often. I mean, typically, if you're hiring and you really like someone, you're willing to just wait a little bit, whether it's an extra week or two, for them to do their due diligence and get more questions. But with these guys, I think they just have so much pressure and such an aggressive hiring goal, and they need to hire like literally 20 people now. They can't afford to just wait. It just breaks my heart that I have to relay this sad news to my candidate because she was honestly very, very excited about this opportunity. But at the same time, I applaud my candidate for standing her ground and not jumping and following the hype or being pressured into decisions. So it's a weird situation. Like, we tried to fight for our candidate. That didn't happen, so we're sad about it, but I'm also really proud for our candidate for standing her ground and following her due diligence, as that was a very, very important part of her, and I want to respect her completely. Just a little bit caught off guard by the aggressive nature of the founders here, that even though they're hiring 20, 30 people, I'm sure they can still have space to fit our candidate onto the team, but then apparently, like, they found not one, but a couple others that just ended up filling that void, and now they don't need her altogether. So yeah, pretty crazy and not the best news. I think there's a lot we can take away from here, but again, kudos to our candidate and hoping that we can find another home. All right, just got some crazy news. Man, I seem to only be talking about a clean tech company, but there's just so much going on. As you know, we spoke to an amazing engineer from California last week, and she had a fantastic interview with the founder the first round, and then with other team members the second round. And it went so well that I got an email from the founder pretty much immediately afterwards saying, we love her, we want to move forward to an offer. Can you just double check if she's open to relo? And so I did that. And then I called her, and then she reconfirmed that she was completely okay with relo. And that was just super surprising because I've talked to like now 6-7 people who we had to shut down because they weren't open to relo. And they're coming from like Pennsylvania, Nashville, Colorado, and here's this candidate from California, the furthest you can go from New York, who's like, I'm totally cool for relo. So funny how things work. Anyway, she said yes. She was scheduled to chat with the founder yesterday evening, and that seemed to have gone really, really well, to the point where the founder texted me saying, hey, everything looks good. I offered her 170, closing definitely looks possible. After I got the email, like, a part of me felt excited, but at the same time, part of me is like, ooh, 170, I'm not sure if that will be enough for my candidate, because she ideally wanted 180, which I share with you. And then I shot her an email, and I only heard back from her this morning. I'm like, hey, I heard that you got an offer, which is congratulations, amazing, but they offered you 170. Is that okay? And she's like, you know what? That's actually okay enough for me. I just want to make sure that they're able to put relo assistance in paper, and they're able to give me more stock options. So here's a candidate who ended up becoming more flexible than I thought on the salary, but did proceed to negotiate on her own behalf about the relo assistance, making sure that's in ink, and also making sure she has a little more stock options. And that ended up being okay with the founder. And I just heard literally right now that the founder just forwarded me the offer letter amended with those extra terms, and then he sent it to the candidate, and she sent back the offer letter signed. And that's what I just have in front of me right now. So talk to the candidate. She wanted 140, 150. We ended up agreeing and finalizing at 170, which is going to be an amazing commission. But at the same time, I'm super excited because this is literally like my first thermal rocket engineer I've done in my life. It could also be my last, so I'm going to enjoy it. But this also further cements doing more positions with this company that's scaling like crazy. So I spent the first half of my day focused on engineers again. They're also hiring HR, finance professionals, so I'm gonna hit them as well, and then focus the rest of my week on engineers and marketing. But man, I'm just coming out of a long weekend to celebrate my birthday, and there's no better present than to kick off with an engineer deal. Software engineer is hard enough, but chemical, thermal, propulsion, rocket engineer, that's a whole another level, and this is one for the bucks. So super pumped about this. I think I'm gonna do a couple more emails, a couple more sourcing, maybe shoot 1 or 2 more TikTok videos and call it a day. But it's already Wednesday tomorrow, midweek, and cruising through with a gigantic deal and a couple more simmering. So feeling really good, and happy to share the good news with you all. Celebrating a successful deal yet again with an amazing home cooked dinner. 2 kinds of salmon, some stir-fried veggies, and quinoa on the bottom. Bon appetit. Happy Wednesday afternoon. It's about 4 o'clock today. Had 3 interviews that have seemingly gone really well, which is very good across product management. We got firmware, hardware engineering, as well as a paid search manager. Had about 6 candidate calls, have 1 more to do in about 20 minutes, and 1 more interview with a HR lead. But I just wanted to come on and share with you that we just got off a really great Zoom call with a potential new client in the gaming space, which is super exciting. And they're backed not only by incredible founders with an amazing track record, but also some of the best VCs and investors out there. They are looking for right now marketing, partnership marketing, or even influencer marketing role, which we had a great conversation. Once we finalize the agreement, then I can talk about this a little bit more in detail with you, but this is super exciting, and this is our first client in the gaming space that we're gonna engage with. And if we do well, they're gonna be hiring almost 70 people across the whole company in the next year, within the remaining of this year and next year. So that can really guarantee amazing momentum through New Year's into Q1. And it's just a great conversation that has me excited about the future. So gonna be sending out an agreement like we always do by end of day. And if that goes well, they'll send it back signed. As soon as we get it back signed, we'll get started right away. Wrapping up our Wednesday with some homemade cornbread. Look how good that looks. And then right next to it, we got a homemade chili with a lot of extra cheese in it. Oh my goodness. Gotta treat my stomach and the body right so I can feel good and get back at it tomorrow. It is about 9 p.m. here on a Wednesday evening, just finally wrapping up my day. We had 4 interviews today. 1 of them went well and the other 3 did not go well, which is brutal. 1 of them was rejected because the company ended up finding someone else internally, so they closed the position. And then the second one, the hiring manager called my candidate never picked up, never called back, never even apologized to follow up via email. So then that just really left a bad taste in my hiring manager's mouth, and so he rejected her, which is understandable, but so frustrating. And then the third is with the HR position, and she was a little bit too senior. He's looking for someone more on the lead manager level. She's looking for more of a senior manager, director level. The only reason why we initially submitted her is because before they were looking initially for a director. So we reached out to her, and I thought, she had that right balance where she could be arguably in between a director and a manager. She wasn't like a director or a VP now. So I thought she might have been interesting to send over, and she was also quite affordable. But after talking with her and digging deep, he ended up deciding that it was not a good fit because she was too senior. But as I mentioned, it's 9 o'clock right now. Had a great dinner, was able to relax a little bit, finished up editing a YouTube video, uploading it tonight. But oh man, just exhausted. Pretty sad that 3 of the 4 interviews today didn't go so well, but Thursday and Friday are looking pretty good in terms of candidate calls and interviews. So hoping to maybe see if we can get closer to 1 more offer. But one final thing I want to share with you is one of my favorite ways to just continuing to stay on top of everything or just getting ahead is, if you're overwhelmed, you have so much work to do, or even you have other projects or other things you're working on the side, one of my favorite times of the week, other than the weekends, to work on other things is after dinner. Typically like from 8 o'clock to 12 or 8 to 1, or maybe even like a little bit earlier, maybe 7 to 1. That is like the ideal time range where you can really invest time on catching up on things that you didn't get a chance to do in the workday, or if you're working on something else like a side hustle or passion project or anything else. That's the perfect amount of time that you can allocate during the week to get ahead and to devote some serious kind of work to it. Even though that may not sound like a lot, that's an extra 4, potentially 5 extra hours that you can do, and adding it to your own business, your own day job, or even to something else. And if you kind of calculate that 5 days a week, that's roughly an extra 25, 30 hours you can get ahead in your job or work or do something else. Or if you count the weekends, that's almost an extra 30, 40 hours. I find it that it's something that I do not all the time, but whenever I need to make that extra push or need to catch up, or I just have too much going on, I like to utilize that time as much as possible. Of course, it's very important to also have a balance, make sure that you're taking care of your sanity, mental health, and that you recharge. I typically, on a night that's not too crazy, 9:30 is the latest I'll go. For nights that are just absolutely insane, I might go a little bit longer, or if I'm just too zoned in on something that's really passionate and I just lose track of time, it could definitely be later. Of course, because it's later in the evening, you're gonna slowly start to get tired. I'm, of course, not drinking any caffeine or taking any stimulants because I do want to go to bed later today. But typically what I find is, after a good dinner, if you're able to recharge, you just get one more wave of focus and energy that you can kind of take advantage of, just to kind of end that night well. So I am calling it poops. It's almost past 9 right now. Got 2 more big days ahead of me, and so far good week, and let's see if we can just keep on going. Just before dinner, heard back from another D2C client that he's recommending and introducing us to another D2C client who needs help hiring. And even though this is so great, word of mouth marketing is really the best form of referrals, introductions, we're just so stressed out right now with all the open jobs that we have. I honestly don't know how many more open jobs that we can take on. And this is honestly like the craziest experience being a recruiter. Typically companies like to stay away or hide from recruiting agencies, but it now just feels like they're just knocking on our doors and needing any help that they can get to hire people. So it's certainly a great problem to have. It's a great time to be a recruiter. We will, of course, do our best. I'm just hoping that it's a position that we're already working right now, so we don't have to allocate additional resources. We can just continue doing what we're doing now and then re-pitching people to another opportunity. But I'm going to reconnect with the founder here, learn more about the opportunity. Seems like they're in a very cool luxury jewelry space, so it'll be interesting to see what we could help them out. But I have a client call tomorrow. I have another client call on Friday, so stress is up here again, and it's got to a point where we are doing whatever we can and struggling a little bit to just be at capacity with our current clients. So at this rate, if a lot of new business comes in, we will of course do our best, but we might have to slow down all the new positions that we can kind of take, just so we can really give all the adequate attention to our clients that need our help. Happy Thursday morning. Didn't work out today, but still made an effort to get out and stretch my legs, because honestly, it's the perfect time to just stay relaxed, focus, think about what you need to accomplish the rest of the day before the madness kicks in. Not to mention, it's absolutely beautiful. So really grateful to live near the water, breathe in some fresh air, and enjoy the sunrise. Just stay composed and organized on exactly what I'm going to do today. But went to bed late last night, and then this morning woke up early, so feeling a little bit tired, but moving around my body, getting a little sweat on from a nice little walk, picking up a new client today, re-engaging an old client that wants help on a new role to see if we can help. But coming into Q4, really happy with the activity, with the momentum. Just very grateful, and we'll continue to do our best that we can for all the clients that entrust us with helping them out. This is one of my favorite places to visit. You have beautiful wood design here. So you have swings, you have benches, you have kayaks, you have more benches. And look at this, on a beautiful day, blue sky, blue water, and unfortunately, a lot of construction. When you're working as a recruiter where your salary isn't guaranteed and really our livelihood is supported
just by the deals that you do. Similar to real estate agents, I think one of the biggest killers to your business and to your career is just feeling settled and comfortable. You always want to feel like you have your back against the wall and hungry for that next deal, because it doesn't matter if you just did an amazing deal that was massive. If you can't find or do another deal the rest of the year, that's just not going to be a good situation for you to be in. So you always have to be hungry, and you always have to be on peak performance. That's why I always emphasize that you have to bring your A game and almost feel like you're coming to battle every single day. That's what I've done every day, every week for the past 6 years, and that's what I continue to do. Any amount of success, as soon as you feel complacent, you start to slow down, you start to kind of release your foot off the pedal, that's where your momentum's gonna get lost. And then that is when you start losing control of the future and the future income and commissions that you can do. So always be consistent every day with your outreach with candidates, with your outreach with clients. And then if you're consistent, you stay positive and you continue to provide value, it will snowball. But the most important thing is you have to feel good. And no matter how late you stay up last night, no matter how late you stay up partying or drinking or whatever, you have to show up the next day being able to function and produce. That has been one of the biggest impact to why I'm still working, why we're still alive today, because we just keep it simple, stay consistent, and it doesn't matter what you do the day before, the month before, it doesn't matter how well you do in the previous months. Treat every month and every day and every week like your first day, like your first week and first month. Stay hungry, feel like your back's against the wall, and keep moving forward.
Happy Thursday. We only have about one interview today that's happening right now for a product manager role. Hope that's gone well. Just heard actually right now that a product manager that we submitted for this awesome open source company based out of the West Coast, our candidate withdrew because she just got an offer from another company that she accepted. And then the hiring manager and my contact there is like, well, can you please keep us up to date and do your best to stay up to date with the candidate's process? But when I checked, I submitted her over a month ago. And so they took their sweet time to actually interview our candidate. And in 1 month in this market, that's a long time for other companies to reach out to the same candidate and move forward in process that could be a lot faster than our client, which is exactly what happened. So even though that when we first talk to a candidate, we get their interview activity, and even though at that time, like they're may not be interviewing with other companies, if they're just starting out, fast forward 2-3 weeks later, they could be in mid-stage or later stages with many other companies. So it's super important for companies to stay engaged and push candidates through as fast as possible, or else they're gonna lose out. So a little bit sad that our candidate withdrew. We'll continue to do our best. We still have a few more people in the pipeline there, so it's not completely lost. Amazing. Private jet on demand company. Oh man, such a cool app, such a cool space. And through them and through the technology, you can book individual seats on private jets or just rent out the whole plane for you and your friends and family. And the perks is if you work there, you have credits that you can use to fly anywhere across the country in private plane, which is amazing. But anyway, these guys have about 200 people, really, really well respected and recognized founders, and they're gonna be hiring across the board. And I think we're talking to them right now to see if we can provide support on multiple marketing positions. And if that goes well, then we can quickly expand into helping them with many others, which I'm very pumped about. And just talked to one of our favorite clients up in kind of the New England, Massachusetts area, and they want us to kick off a head of product search. And I just got the phone with the founders just to really understand exactly what they're looking for. I never like to just simply go off job recs or job descriptions because there's so many nuances, so many subtleties that job descriptions won't cover that you can discover when you actually talk directly to the hiring manager or to the founder. And so I want to hear from them directly, like what are the must-haves? If you have two people with similar skill sets but different backgrounds, what would they prefer and why? Really just trying to get into their psyche and to their preferences to really understand like their mindset, and so that it would help us stay targeted in our search as much as possible, so we don't waste our time. We can be as efficient as possible to send them the best people that would hopefully immediately result in immediate interview requests, which is something that we always strive for. So after talking to them, it's become clear we're now officially working on a head of product role, ideally 7+ years of experience. If you have any experience with hardware, physical products, IoT, wearables, that's a huge plus because they're in that D2C space. But if you also have great kind of B2C background coming out of SaaS, software tech company, that's great too. And what they really like to see are well-rounded product professionals that not only are able to comfortably and confidently interact with technical engineers, but someone that also has a really good business mindset, having ample experience creating roadmaps and go-to-market strategies, etc. Putting that all together. And on top, don't forget, if you also have done consumer-facing products, again, on the software or D2C side, that's great. And so ideally looking for a well-rounded product professional. If they have all three, amazing. If they have at least 2 of the 3, fantastic. I wanted to really make sure that we could hit both the D2C space and the software space so that we can go after as many people as possible that have the biggest target pool so that we can maximize their pipeline from the get-go. Having such a specific background is great. That helps our job do the best, but sometimes if it's too specific, target pool is too small. If the target pool is too small, you're just gonna get a small number of requests and responses, and then not a lot of people are gonna interview. And so you really have to just make sure your outreach and personalization is as best as it can be, and you're really going after the right people. Not just that, they're only targeting Boston and New York, not the whole country. So just immediately from there, our target population is much smaller. So just really wanted to see what they're okay with, what they're not okay with, how high they can go on salary, how flexible they are, what's an X factor, what are pluses, and what are complete deal breakers. And now with all that information, then we can get started right away and dig in, and hopefully we can find them people as soon as tomorrow and definitely into next week. Let's create some momentum. Truffle milk crab. Also forgot to mention we got a rose latte. Really good. Nice and flowery. Not sure if it goes with the chocolate truffle cake, but always a fan of Lady M's. Have to come and check it out. Bon appetit. Checking out this mall in Virginia for the first time to run a few errands. I think this is in Tyson's Corner. We'll walk around the gallery with amazing luxury brands, and it's super cool. Good morning, happy Friday. Came back home and went to bed late. Woke up early, feeling tired, but you know how it is. Can't make excuses. Time to get up, get my workout in, and make it a good day. Let's go. Hello and happy Friday afternoon. Just been sitting here for the past 4 or 5 hours sourcing this new head of product role for our IoT consumer-facing client out of Boston. It's really consisting of, hitting tools like LinkedIn, other pages hard, going through our database, reaching out to product managers that we've spoken to recently and repitching them, and just been grinding all day. And I'm tired and it's stressful, but at the same time, I love it because, as you know, it is Friday. We got to finish off the week strong so that we can really enjoy the weekend. But aside from that, I just want to talk about one thing. I feel like us recruiters as a whole, as an industry, just need to do better in terms of working in a more transparent, authentic, and just honest environment. I've seen so many recruiting professionals resort to shady tactics and games, and even though you may get a quick win here or there, it's not going to help your reputation or build a sustainable business. So when you're working with candidates, really share with them the role, sell them, get them excited. But then there's a huge difference of selling them your role and just making stuff up. If you start making things up about the founders, the funding, and just saying stuff that are untrue just to get them to accept the job, that's just gonna leave a bad taste in their mouth. If they actually get the job and they accept and they find out that you made up a lot of things, not only will they leave and you're probably gonna have to find a replacement, but most likely they're not gonna reach out to you and work with you ever again. So it just doesn't make sense. When it comes to like the clients or the company side, don't unnecessarily inflate the salary. I know this is a common practice with recruiters, and when I first joined at a large staffing agency, like we added a premium just so we can get an extra commission or a larger commission if the offer goes through. It's all about just integrity. It's all about reputation. Recruiting is a people business, like any sales role. And even though you can definitely make offers happen and you can submit candidates for a much larger salary, if you close it, that's great. But in the chance that, for example, the clients or hiring managers find out, or maybe, for example, the clients have a really strong relationship directly with their candidate and the candidate shares with them information that's completely different than what you initially submitted a candidate for, things can get wonky really, really fast. And there are a lot of bad scenarios that can come out of that. The client can choose not to work with you ever again. The client can badmouth you to other referrals in their networks. Is it really worth it for you to get a little bit more money playing these games? And I know that recruiters out there continue to do that. And I think it's kind of a widespread practice that I see across the board, not just in our industry, but many others. But for me, I'm all about just trying to be transparent and honest as much as possible. If a candidate is looking for at least 100,000, I would just share that with the company, but be like, hey, but if you can come up a little bit more, that would make the chances of you closing this candidate a lot easier, only because they're actively interviewing and they may get a higher offer. It's really just all about just trying to be authentic. Us recruiters have such a bad rep as is. When we talk to candidates, so many candidates have such bad experience with other recruiters, or when we talk to new clients, they also have such bad experience with recruiters. Either recruiters are sending them, unnecessary, irrelevant candidates, just clients and hiring managers overall just having a really bad experience with recruiters, just getting nothing but unnecessary resumes, spam. It's just wasting everyone's time and leaving a bad mouth to recruiters who really do their best to try to change things or do things better. So if you're in the recruiting industry, if you're thinking about doing recruiting industry, yes, you will find ways that will be tempted for you to get an extra, quick win or shortcuts or a little bit more money. But just if you build things the right way and you build strong relationships, I promise you, even though that may mean, maybe a smaller commissions here and there, or maybe you might lose out because you honestly believe that your opportunity is not the best for a candidate, even though you want them to go interview your candidate so badly because it's the right thing to do. At the end of the day, you will start to build a really strong reputation, really strong relationships where it will snowball big over time. And so I'm not perfect in any way. I'm always trying to find ways to be a better recruiter, to do things better. But this is just something I see all the time. Not to mention, I spoke about this in the previous video where I get so many inbound for new job opportunities for myself from other recruiters that are just completely irrelevant. So recruiters, let's spend more time to just personally outreach, have more authentic, transparent relationships to both candidates and clients. If we can do that, recruiting as a whole can be a much better place. We'll be able to shatter this bad rep that we have to battle with and battle through with every new client that had a bad taste in the mouth or had a bad experience. And just overall, it's just a massive win for everybody. And it's just gonna bring value to all the parties involved. So just sending some positive vibes out there and hope we can just do better, work together, and continue to provide the best value that we can in the right way that we can. So just had a great Zoom with the direct hiring manager at this D2C e-commerce company where we talked about basically picking up their design positions. And boy, was I glad that I chatted with her instead of going off the job break, because not only was there some sort of miscommunication and I thought they were only hiring one, they're actually hiring multiple designers, but we dove deep behind the ideal background. It was completely different than what I expected. So after chatting with her, it became very, very clear that they're looking for multiple designers, two main ones. The first is a product designer. I thought this was more branding and marketing design, but it's very much a product design focused on building out their site and applications. So having really other great relevant D2C or direct consumer experience, even just great SaaS or computer software experience would be a huge plus. And then if they also have or open or willing to help out with animations, illustrations, or marketing or graphic design on the side, that would be great. When I read the job description and through our email chains, it honestly sounded more like a graphic marketing designer who was open and willing to do product design. But after chatting with her, it was the exact opposite. I made it clear that, because they're also going after senior level designers, a lot of product designers don't want to regress and do a lot of marketing and graphic design. But then she made it also very clear that it's only going to be a small percentage of their day-to-day activities, so that should be fine. The second position sounded like more of a lead product design position, but then what it turned out to be actually more of like a art or even creative director, but with someone that has more of a marketing, branding, design with understanding or experience working with product designer. This would have been impossible to be able to deduce from the job rec alone. The more technical a position is, the more important it is for you to connect directly with the technical hiring manager. Talking to a founder is great. If they have a technical background, they know exactly what they're looking for. But if you're hiring an engineer, you're hiring a product designer, you're hiring even like just very technical growth marketing people, it's very important to talk to someone who knows what to talk about in terms of the granular details, the must-haves in terms of skills and hard tools, because they will save you so much time as a recruiter going after the right profile. So because of this, now I finally understand exactly what they're looking for. They're still in the office, and it seems like they're transitioning more to in-office full-time than going the other way around in terms of becoming more remote. So that's gonna still be very, very difficult recruiting people, because most people at least want some sort of flexible hybrid or fully remote. They're also still in New York City. Keeping that in mind with the office and just having to go after really niche consumer-facing designers in the background, the target market is not that big. A lot of the great D2C e-commerce designers will mainly be in the West Coast or Midwest. So off the bat, we are gonna have some limitations. I know that they are flexible with salary, so that's gonna help a lot. Depending on the role, for non-technical, you can understand 70 to 80% of what they want from a job rec, but the more technical, the more senior it goes. And also because of the nature of design, it's very subjective. You wanna also understand what exactly do they wanna see in a person's portfolio? What does good design mean? Because you can show the same design to two different people. One will think it's horrible, one will think it's amazing. So a lot of this discussion was me understanding what do they want, how many positions, and what actually does a good designer mean, aside from the companies they're coming out of and all like the basic surface level stuff. So was able to kind of dive in deep, had a good 30-40 minute discussion with them. Gonna start this first thing on Monday, have a couple more things to do, a couple more candidate calls, gonna be sending 2 engagement letters to 2 different companies that we're gonna be onboarding next week, which would be super stressful. And I think 1 interview just happened, but just finished sourcing program managers as well as product managers and product analysts. Gonna be shifting, hitting product designers and back to engineers hard again next week, just to ramp up that. But I'm really starting to feel that the market is getting way more competitive. Candidates are responding, but they're responding at less intensity as they were before. And so we really have to make more of an effort to be persistent and to really personalize the outreach, but also just making sure that the outreach is enticing enough, it's exciting enough for them to even just want to respond in the first place. So a lot of stuff happening right now, but because it's the end of day and it's also the end of week, slowly getting tired, but gonna finish off strong here, and then we'll see you in a bit just to wrap everything up. All right, you know what it is. It is time to finally wrap up this week. Just want to thank you again for watching till the end. Really appreciate it. Always excited to hear your thoughts, advice, and just overall positive vibes. So really appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm happy to say that we have ended this week with 1 successful offer with an engineer. And this is something that honestly I did not see coming, but it just, after having to reject 5-6 candidates because they weren't able to reload, finding this one is like finding the diamond in the rough, and the process was super easy, hardly any negotiations, and a very seamless close. But with that said, the final salary was $170,000. Our fee percentage is 20%, with an overall take home to be $34,000, which is not a shabby week. We also have 2 positions, a growth marketing candidate as well as a director of facilities, having candidates for each both going into reference rounds, which is great. For the growth marketing manager, we have one candidate, but for the director of facilities, they're actually considering between two different candidates that we both submitted. I was hoping that one of them would have at least popped by now, but I guess we'll have to see what happens next week. So if you're excited to see how the references went and whether or not the companies are going to extend an offer for both of these, hey, stay tuned, and I'm going to be eagerly anticipating what happens next week. So whatever happens, hopefully it's good news. If one of them happens, I will be happy. If both of them happens, that'd be fantastic. Overall, we also made just some really, really good progress on designers and just product analysts as a whole. As you know, we are working product analyst positions, really looking for great professionals working in the investment banking industry or even the consulting industry. We already have 3 people in the case study round. We just submitted 2 today, and she liked both of them. So I think the pipeline for that so far is looking very, very good. Product designers is slowly moving forward. We're recruiting everything from junior level to senior to lead and creative directors. Moving on to next week, my focus really is going to kind of go back to product managers. We're working so many different types of product manager roles, from in-office to remote to B2C, D2C to even B2B or SaaS. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to try to get and find other great professionals to strengthen our pipeline. I'm also going to focus and revisit product designers. Now, actually, after picking up and clarifying the roles today, have to add that to our roster of open positions, and going to have to really try my best here to try to find folks that we can find. And then we're also going to continue to focus on engineers of all kinds, from software engineering, in addition to a variety of marketing positions. As I just mentioned, going to also send out 2 engagement letters. One is with a really cool video game company. Another one's a really cool private jet on-demand company. Collectively combined, they're going to be hiring across creative and marketing roles. So once those are finalized, I can fully talk about those, but very excited. But we'll be spending considerable amount of time next week to focus on those substantially. But other than that, I would say like today has been fairly kind of light. Only had about 8 candidate calls with 2 interviews. I know a good day is when I can surpass at least 10 calls and maybe about 4 to 6 interviews. Despite that, still happy to pop 1 deal and have a couple others simmering in the fire to see what's going to happen next week. Don't forget to apply to our open positions. Go to the description box below, go to our site. You'll be able to see all the open positions that are live. We'll be adding more to it this weekend. If they interest you, please reach out. If you also might know of anyone else that might be interested in your network, don't forget we have an amazing referral program. We would pay up to $10,000 for the introduction to the right person. Again, really appreciate you guys watching and reaching out and asking questions. I will do the best that I can to get back in a timely manner, but feel free to drop a comment down below here, reach out to me on Instagram. I will do my best to get back to you. And just also please let me know if you enjoy watching formats, a week in a life videos like these. If there's anything else that you want me to include or touch more upon, please let me know and I will do my best to incorporate it in future videos. I honestly have so much fun making these, and it's really my inspiration, my heart, to just show what recruiters do behind the scenes and to be as transparent and honest as I can. It comes with tremendous highs, it can be very fulfilling, but it can also come with lows that you just have to get up, adapt, fight through, and take the punches and just keep moving on. And I just want to be able to show it all. And whether you're a recruiter in the tech industry, a recruiter in the aviation industry, or the agriculture industry, or finance, reach out. Always love to work with and meet with other recruiting professionals. At the end of the day, we all do the same thing. We all have such a tough job, and it's really great to hear about other people's stories, about other people's backgrounds, and overall just, locking arms together and helping each other out as much as we can. We have a lot of exciting companies knocking on our door wanting to work with us, and I'm always super grateful. Amazing founders and teams needing our help. We will of course do our best, but we will not forget the current group of clients that we're working with right now. We are running and pushing ourselves as hard as we can every single day. That's why it's super important that make sure you find time every day and on the weekend to really recharge so that you can attack the next week back at it. But if you are like me, whether you're a recruiter, you work for yourself, or at a job, or even another entrepreneur or a solopreneur in a different industry, if you are as excited and pumped to finish this month strong and finish Q4 strong, finish 2021 strong, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. It will honestly give all of us the attention that we need, the energy that we need to finish strong. But guys, thank you so much again. I really hope you enjoyed another week in the life. I'm gonna call it a day, call it a week right now. Just have a few more things to do, and then I'm gonna really enjoy my time on the weekend to recharge, eat some good food, and get some downtime. But thank you again. We'll see you on the next week. Hope you all have a great weekend, and looking forward to it and seeing what exciting new obstacles, scenarios, and experiences next week will bring. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.